So after applying the quadratic formula to this equation, up here we did end up with this expression, and we're going to focus on the grossest part first, which is that root 20. We now hopefully know this is pretty much the same thing as 20 to the 1/2 power, which means let's find the thing that multiplies by itself to make 20, which means let's take these factors of 20 and break them into two equal groups as best we can. And if there are things that are left over that we don't have enough to put into both groups, they stay in the box. They stay under the radical. So 20 itself, if you bust out that prime factorization calculator, is going to be 2 times 2 is 4, times 5 more is 20. I want to take all these factors of 20 and do my best to break them into two equal groups. I have enough 2's to give everybody a 2, but I don't have enough 5's to split that up. So the square root of 20 is going to equal, that radical 5 is going to stay in the radical, and the part that I was able to break it into 2, that'll go on the outside. So radical 20 is the same thing as 2 root 5. So with that in mind, I can look back at my answer. We had put a hyper laser-like focus on this radical 20. We saw that this radical 20 equals 2 root 5. So x actually equals 6 plus or minus 2 radical 5 all over 2. If you write that down as an answer, I'd be pretty happy with that. But the other thing I'll mention is all these numbers that are outside of the radical, if they have a common factor, we can divide that common factor out. So you don't look underneath the radical. That's kind of protected. That's stuck in there. But all the numbers outside, if there's a common factor, you should divide it out if you can. And if I divide each of these things by 2, 6 divided by 2 makes 3, plus or minus. 2 divided by 2 makes plain old 1. So I could write 1 times the square root of 5. But if you multiply anything by 1, it doesn't change anything, so we don't normally write the 1 there. And then the whole thing would be divided by 1, but again, if I divide, I can put this whole thing like divided by 1, but that also is not going to change things. So I normally won't do that either. So what's going to happen basically is this 6 is going to become a 3, this 2 is going to become a 1, I won't write it, 2 on the bottom becomes a 1, I won't write it. That's my simplified answer. Let's try another one. It's going to be fun.